Good evening, Danville. Alan Shields here, Chief of Police with the town, and we are 10-8 and in service to all of you, which means we're here to make people's lives better by safeguarding the lives, rights, and property of everyone we serve. I actually have a lot of information I want to push out tonight, so I hope you stay till the end. We do have a good final thought, and it was actually posted on Nextdoor and dropped off by one of our viewers, so I'm happy to read the letter that she dropped off. But we're going to talk about traffic. We're going to kind of talk about some behaviors. I'm going to cover some graphics, and actually we had someone that submitted a really good video, and although it doesn't cover town of Danville, it's still on Mount Diablo and is of concern to a lot of people here in town. So we've got a lot of opportunities to visit and join each other. We've got some things in the public here, but before we get to that, this is a live show, so if you have questions, we monitor the Facebook chat. I do try to look at the YouTube chat, but Facebook is mainly where we're at. If you have a question, I will work to answer it live during the show. If I can't, I will monitor the chat for half an hour or so after, and I will try to get the information in there. If you want to see us in person, though, we've got a good opportunity at Coffee with the Cops, and that's at Christy's Donuts, 436 Diablo Road, April 29th, and we'll be there from 9 a.m. till 10. We try to make these available 2 to 3 times a month, and we spread them throughout town. And then we also take your advice. So people suggest and they say, hey, can you make it in the afternoon? Can you do it at different times? And so we've got another one coming up in May. And so on May 11th, that's a Wednesday, we will be out at Jamba Juice at 35 Railroad Avenue. We'll be there from 3 to 4. And so this is right south of San Ramon Valley High in the shopping center there, so right in the middle of downtown. So if it's thinking it's probably going to be a warmer day, so come out and see us and enjoy a frozen yogurt. And we have some opportunities to drop off some medicine. And if you're not aware, we've got bins in the front here. So Monday through Friday, while the police department is open, you can come and you can drop off unused medication, and you can also drop off needles. But we do have big events that we do once or twice a year on the weekends. And we've got one coming up on April 30th from 10 to 2. Right out front, we're going to have a booth set up, and you can just drive up, drop your medicine and your unused medicine, and go. And we'll take care of that for you. We do have another way. If you want to contribute to the town of Danville being such a great place, we've got the downtown master plan going. You've seen that we've just published the bike safety master plan. And we've also got a local roadway safety plan, and we actually need your help in determining the direction that we should go. Certainly we have our own observations, but this is where you, the resident, the expert in your community, your area, can tell us what you need. And so this is a good opportunity for you to contribute. And what I would say is there is a link to the description or to the website in the description. Click on that. It's an interactive map put out by our team, and it's a way for you to provide your feedback as far as what it is that you feel that we need to do. All right, so let's move on. We talk about traffic safety a lot on the show, and before we get to the blotter, I just want to cover some things about traffic safety because it's important, so we thought we'd put it at the top of the show. There's 2 main reasons that we will go and enforce traffic laws in certain areas. The first one is we use accident data to drive where we go. And you'll look later on, we usually get accidents mostly in our downtown area, Communitas corridor. That doesn't mean that all we do is wait and are reactive. We also get a lot of citizen reports where people say, hey, someone is speeding on my street. Someone is running the stop sign on my street. Someone is speeding and running the stop sign on my street. So what I thought I would do is actually show you what we do and show you the concerns that we have and how we go about addressing that. Because in the town, we've got 3 traffic officers, a supervisor, but we also have volunteers and reserve officers. And then you have the beat officers. Those are the patrol officers that if you call 911, those are the ones that come out to your area. And so we did get a complaint on Rasani Drive at Dove Creek. That's out east. We don't usually get a lot of accidents there. We do get them on Communitas, but not usually on Rasani. But that doesn't mean that you, as the resident, are not identifying hazardous behavior. And so if we look at the intersection here, you can see this, and this is from Google Earth. So this is not, this is a vehicle that's actually doing a very good job. You can see the brake lights are on and they're stopping at the stop sign. And this is what we want. If you look at this intersection, this is going south. So this is going into the community from Communitas. On this particular intersection, if it were uncontrolled, this is what we would call a blind intersection, which means at 100 feet, you cannot see 100 feet in either direction. It means that there are obstructions. And what that really means is that if there are kids, if there are moms with kids or strollers, cyclists, any of those things that can present a hazard, you won't see them because they're going to be hidden behind bushes, trees, hills, and you won't see them until it's too late. And what that red arrow represents is the amount of time, if you're going 30 miles an hour, from the moment that you perceive a hazard till the distance it's going to take you to stop. That's about 90 feet, 85 to 90 feet. And so if you take a look at it, that puts you all the way through that intersection by the time you see it. So this is why we have those stop signs out there. We need people to stop. And in this particular case, we had a nice gentleman from that area that said, hey, this is what I'm observing. I live here. This is what I see. So on that day, we actually sent out some volunteers. And those are the people that wear the white shirts. These are people from your community that donate their time for free here in town. We sent them out there, and it was a very simple thing. I was like, do a survey for us and just sit out there for half an hour, and tell me how many cars are obeying the limit. And this time we did it a little bit on the sneaky side. I wanted to see a true measure, right? If I park a cop car out there, people are going to look over, see the cop car, and then they're going to stop at the sign, right? I wanted to see what the actual problem was, just as our resident did. Came back, and I think the time they were there, they saw 34 cars, and 12 of them did not stop for the stop sign. And that meant anywhere from rolling slowly through at 2 to 5 miles an hour to rolling through at 10 to 15 miles an hour, which is clearly a hazard and clearly an issue. So knowing that, we send our officers out there to do enforcement as well. And what we try to do is we try to use as many resources as appropriate. So that could be volunteers out there in a car. That could be our patrol officers. That could be our motor officers out there. I've even gone out to some areas and done speed enforcement, stop sign enforcement. So just because we're not piling up accidents in an area doesn't mean that we don't listen to you and that we don't pay attention and work hard to prevent those accidents from happening. So to circle back, this is why your observations are important. So please go down to that link in the description and contribute to our roadway plan. I think it's very important, and this is one of those very good opportunities for all of you to contribute. A few weeks ago, I had mentioned A-pillar blind spots. If you're not familiar, A-pillars are the pillars that go right up front. And I've got a pretty good graphic to show that. So when you're driving your car, the A-pillar is that red line right up front. And if you look, those will actually block pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, typically smaller objects. Sometimes if you have a very big A-pillar, you may actually block a car, but not often. And I was reminded of this because I did talk about this during the show a couple weeks ago, but I was getting on the freeway and I had waited for a long time to make my left turn onto the freeway. And I noticed my A-pillar was there, and before I went, I actually leaned forward, and sure enough, there were two pedestrians crossing the road. And had I not leaned forward in my car to look around my pillar, I have to think certainly I would have turned right into those people. Would I eventually have seen them and maybe had time to react and not hit them? Quite possibly. But it's very important to recognize that those blind spots exist, and they will. They are potential to they have the potential to cause us some grief. All right, let me running into some difficulties here again on these slides. So give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can reboot these and get them back up. But let me ask this. Is there anyone that has a typical problem that they see when they drive in an area of Danville? It could be a structural problem. It could be a behavioral problem. So a structural problem is maybe we need better lighting in an area. Maybe we need better signage in an area. A behavioral problem is, hey, I always see people running the red light at San Ramon Valley Boulevard at the Iron Horse Trail. That's something that we always see. And so that would be something that we would want to take a look at. All right, so let's move on to the blotter. So if you have those, let me ask you to just put those in the chat and let's take a look at those. Let's move on to the blotter though. Okay, so with our blotter, you can always go to communitycrimemap.com. You can actually set up your own alert system where you can get alerts to your email that'll tell you exactly what's going on here in town. I'm going to separate this into two maps. I'm going to go crime first, and then we'll talk about the crashes. So this was actually a really, if we didn't have people stealing cars, this would have been great. But unfortunately, we had 3 stolen cars and we had 1 theft. The theft was on April 19th. It was reported. And there were tools that were stolen from a vehicle on Jewel Terrace. And I will tell you this, our officer that responded was able to identify a potential lead vehicle. We put it in the system, and we are working leads from that, and we hope to bring that case to a conclusion. So there are leads, and we are happy to see that. On the 18th, we had a vehicle that was stolen from a business on Harts Avenue. On the 19th, we had another vehicle that was stolen from El Pintado Place, and it was later recovered in Rollingwood. And that was due to the vehicle having a good onboard GPS system that the owner was able to track and tell us where the vehicle was. So they were able to recover their vehicle the same day. On April 21st, the school district had a truck and a trailer that were stolen from the Green Valley Elementary School parking lot. We have recovered the truck. The truck was recovered over in Oakland yesterday. The trailer is still outstanding, and we're working that. All right, traffic. It's very predictable, unfortunately, and it's sadly predictable. But if you look at it, most of those accidents are downtown. We had 3 property and 1 injury. The injury was at Camino Ramon and Sycamore, and our 3 property were all along that downtown corridor. You will see one way out east towards Blackhawk. That's actually in the county jurisdiction and not Danville, but it's in the area. So that is the crime in the blotter for last week. All right, I'm going to check the chat and see if there is anything in the chat. See if anybody, no. Okay, we're looking good there. All right, perfect. All right, so we are on to emergency preparedness. So last year, we covered emergency preparedness, and we talked about how to prepare your home and kits, staying connected. And we're going to cover that again because this is something that we need to, as our emergency manager would say, you put it in, rinse and repeat. You just have to keep going because the principles are so simple, they're basic, but we need to make sure that we stay on top of it so that we have the greatest chance of succeeding should a disaster occur. Last week on the show, we talked about how do you stay connected? If there is a disaster, if there's a need to alert you, how are we going to do that? We covered Nixle. I'll give you the short on Nixle. If you want to open up a text message, either now or when you get off of this podcast, go ahead and send a text message to 888-777-888-777 and put any zip code or every zip code that you want to be notified of, and you will get text alerts when there's an emergency in your area. I would also encourage everyone to go to Community Warning System Alerts, CWS Alerts. That's a site that's hosted by the Sheriff's Office, and you can get information there as well. A link to both of those are in the description below. What we're going to talk about is our wildfire preparedness and evacuation guide, and we're going to talk about the community warning system. Those are both sites that you can go to. It's CWS Alerts, and again, a link is down in the description. What we're going to cover over the next few weeks is how to prepare your home and have a plan. What you should do as far as making a kit, both for you, your animals, and anybody else that you feel you need to take care of. We've covered how to stay informed, and then we really want to hit this one, know your neighbors. All right, it's very important to know your neighbors. And let's start with our homes. And I've got some pretty good examples, and if you don't know, again, I'm a lieutenant with the Sheriff's Office, which means I'm actually part of a large organization that does a lot in the way of mutual aid and requests. And Lieutenant Ingracia, the lieutenant that works here in the town, as well as myself, we've responded out to some of these regional wildfire events and emergencies that have happened. So we've actually seen the results of some of this. So let's take a look at how you prepare your home. Okay, always have your kit by a door, a go kit. That's a bag, and we'll cover that next week or the week after. That has belongings and information and medication and things that you need to survive for a given period of time. We recommend backing your car in when parking. I personally do this all the time. If you go out in the parking lot right now, my car's backed in, It makes it so that it is easy to drive away when you need to. We'd also recommend that you either keep a battery backup for your garage door, know how to manually open it, or in some way plan that you can get out of your garage should you need to. And if all of that is a no-go for you, if you've got limitations on that, make sure you keep at least one vehicle out in the driveway or on the street so that in an emergency, you've got the ability to get out and not have to get out on your feet, but get out by using a car. Let's look at these two zones real quick. If you look, zone 1 is about 30 feet. Zone 1 is 100 feet from your home. And the idea is you want to create what they call a defensible space. And I've actually got some good pictures later on about this, but you want to clear the brush. A defensible space doesn't mean you concrete the whole area around your house, although certainly concrete doesn't burn. But that's not what it means. It means to have a well-maintained lawn, to have well-maintained shrubs. You don't want, I'll admit right now, if you look at my back fence, I've got a large bush alive, and I've got one that is dead and I need to pull it out. That dead plant is the one that will catch fire very quickly and help the fire spread to your home. By keeping defensible space, it's not a guarantee, but it is certainly a preventative measure that you can take that gives you a better chance in your home, a better chance to survive should there be a wildfire threat. All right. So how will you ready your home for a wildfire? Remove all dead and dying debris from the house, the gutters, the roof. Keep all tree limbs 10 feet from the home. Choose fire-resistant plant species, and have a roof made of composite metal or tile. Avoid the wood, and then cover vents to home with fine mesh to keep out embers, and you don't want the embers coming into the home. And that's that 30 feet. That's what we'd say is zone 1. Now, if we look at zone 2, we want to remove any dead, dying vegetation. Keep wood piles and combustibles in this zone. That way they're away from the immediate area of your home. And cut grass and clear brush. Keep wood fencing and decks away from the home. And we've seen it here in town. A lot of people think that this is only what maybe people do in the country, or maybe only what our West Side Danville neighbors need to do. But if you look, we've got a lot of pocket open spaces, either in HOA communities or that are open, like Sycamore Ridge. So we've got a lot of Sycamore open space, Ridge. I think I'm mixing up movies now. So we do have a lot of open space that abuts right up next to tract housing, residential homes. And so this really does apply to everyone. By maintaining your property and keeping that defensible space, you actually give yourself a good chance of surviving one of these incidents. Here's what I'll say. When we were going through Vacaville after the fires had went through there, it was very clear that there were some homes, when I saw the ones that survived, it looked like an oasis surrounding the home that kept that home safe. You know, there were trees that were maybe partially burned, but were clearly well taken care of yards, and it didn't appear that there was any brush that burned in the yard. So let's take a look at these, and I got these from This Old House. So these are stock photos. And if you look, these are both areas where there's large areas of grass, dry brush around the house, but in that 30 to 100 feet range, the houses are actually well taken care of. And we've seen this. We've seen this in town. 2 years ago, there was a fire over on Santiago Lane, started going up the hillside, and because there were fire breaks and because there were good defensible spaces around homes, you just see the amazing magic of our fire department, and they go up and they're actually able to fight that fire and keep it from taking homes. So if you want to give our fire department the best chance and you want to give your house the best chance of survival, we recommend keeping those defensible spaces. Make sure you park your car in a way that you can get out, and make sure you have a go bag is what we call it, but make sure you have a bag with the tools and the things and the medicine, the paperwork, everything that you're going to need, so that should you need to survive out on your own for 3 days a week, that you're going to be able to do that. All right, I'm going to check the chat and see if anybody has any comments on where we can look for either the bad driving or maybe some engineering solutions to the speeding. Okay, so Allison says a school bus pulled into a bus stop area on Tassajara but had their yellow flashers on. I stopped and didn't want to pass, but other cars passed me. At that point, I thought it more dangerous for me to stay stopped, so I passed the bus. Was I wrong? If the if a school bus pulls and they've got the lights flashing and the arm extended, you do have to stop. If they're pulled into an area, then you do not. So if they're to the side and they don't have the arm out, then you don't. And what I'll do is I'm actually going to copy and paste the section for school buses in here, and I'll get with our traffic guys as well to make sure. But I want to really make sure I get you the right answer on that. But if they're pulled over and there's no arm, you're fine. If they're off to the side with the arm out, then we would need to stop. Martha, maybe. So, okay, this is going to be good because Martha is great. We sit at the Harts Avenue Starbucks most mornings and see at least 2 to 3 near-miss accidents every time. It's really unnerving to watch drivers crossing on Harts on Prospect don't realize that cars on Harts don't have a stop sign. Traffic on Harts is often fast enough to cause a pretty bad accident. Maybe add a larger, more obvious sign stating cross traffic doesn't stop. Martha, that's actually a good question. That is one of our problem intersections. A good friend of mine was actually hit by a car there, and that was over 2 years ago, I think. No, right at a year. I apologize. Right at a year, and he's still frustrated over that and still has some problems with that. So it is a sign that it is an intersection that we're aware of. I know that Andy Dillard is looking at potential solutions for the intersection and what they can do to make it safer. But you're absolutely right. If we can do something to make sure that people know that the cars do not stop, that would be good. And I think it was last week or the week before, one of my friends sent me a nice video of the runner and the car at the crosswalk on I think it was Paraiso and the Iron Horse Trail. And the runner had come out into the intersection without stopping, and it led to a good conversation of who's got an obligation and a duty and when. And the car, if a person is in the intersection, in the crosswalk, the car has the obligation to stop and allow them to go. The cyclist, the jogger, the runner, the walker, they have an obligation not to dart out in front of traffic that is already in the lane. So good observation. And Martha, if I sit out in front of that Starbucks, I do see the same thing. So, which is a reminder, we have done them in the past, and now that we're back out and doing what we do, we're looking at getting maybe some crosswalk enforcement in there. So what you'll see people, cops out there in the crosswalk, dressed down, and we'll see if we can't do some enforcement there as well to get some more compliance. All right, Sue. So the corner of Harts and Diablo is bad because of the parking lot, and people run out not paying attention to the traffic signal. Horrible place to make a right turn onto Harts. So I think Sue and Martha are on to something here, because I think the path on Harts Avenue between Prospect, including Diablo, to Linda Mesa is a little problematic because it's so nice and so well used. We've got great restaurants in the area, outside the area as well, but there's definitely a lot of restaurants and activity and shops in that area that people like to go to. It does get a lot of vehicle traffic and pedestrian traffic, and we're doing our best from a design standpoint. Andy Dillard is looking into that, and we will work on that parking lot. So I'm going to actually check that one out, Sue, and see if there's something I can do on that one. Drivers on Diablo Boulevard not paying attention to blinkers when you're signaling a turn. Barbara, I think that's kind of everywhere, right? I can stick my blinker on, and it seems like nobody's paying too much attention there. I'm joking a little bit. I actually like to think of I have an optimistic view. There are certainly people that are aggressive drivers, and then maybe inattention, and they're in their own world, or maybe they're doing the phone thing. But I also see a lot, and I saw it today on the way to work, where people are waving people on and stopping and taking extra time and really waiting for a pedestrian in the crosswalk. So I do see a fair amount of good behavior while driving too. And let's face it, we have a ridiculously low amount of collisions. I mean, if you compare us to other communities, we are very, very low on the collision scale. In fact, so low that when our motor and our traffic officers apply for grants, some of the first questions they will ask us is how many accidents, how many fatalities. Let's knock on wood for none of those. But they will go down the list, and the problem is we don't have high enough rates that warrant receiving grant money. And so, as much as we are always trying to improve, and the best accident rate is 0, we do realize that because of all of your behavior, our job in law enforcement is significantly easier, and we do have a low collision rate for that. All right, looking through the chat, I don't see anything else. All right, just want to remind everyone, we do have Coffee with the Cops coming up. You can come join us at Christy's Donuts, 436 Diablo Road, April 29th. That's this Friday. So if you're not doing anything Friday, or you want to take a lazy Friday, come down, have some donuts with us. We'll be out there from 9 to 10. We'll also be out on May 11th at Jamba Juice, and we'll be there from 3 to 4, and that's going to be at 35 Railroad Avenue. These are great opportunities. If you want to give us some feedback, maybe you're not comfortable putting in the chat, but you want to say, hey, you know what, I think you guys need to work harder in this area, or push harder over here, or, you know, why isn't my area of town getting attention? Several times a month we're out there. Please come visit us. We're really open to the feedback. We really want to hear what you have to say, and we'd appreciate you coming out. All right. Drug Take Back. The EA Drug Take Back Day, April 30th. That's going to be this weekend from 10 to 2. So 10 a.m. to 2. We'll be at the Danville Town Offices, 510 Gonda. We're going to be right out front. All you got to do is drive up. What we'd ask you to do to make things run smoother is take the medicine out of the bottle, put it in a plastic Ziploc bag. That way all you have to do is throw the bag in, and then you get to keep your bottle that's got some of your personal identifying information on it. And if you can't make it then, Monday through Friday, office hours, we're here. You can drop off your medication, and you can drop off your needles. So come join us for those. And then we'd also like you to participate. This is a small window, so we'd like you to participate in the Danville Safe Streets, the local roadway safety plan. This is your opportunity to point out where you see problems. Where should we focus? We just had 2 good suggestions here, right? Basically that Harts Prospect to Linda Mesa corridor. So I would really ask you, Sue and Martha, please jump on that site, go in and provide your opinion. I give my opinion, but believe it or not, your opinion matters more than mine. We need to hear from you, and when residents start to speak up and say this is what we need, we will listen to that and we will hear that. So please make sure you contribute to that. All right, I'm going to check, see if there's anything else. I don't see anything else in the chat, which that means we are 10:10, which means we're out of service, but we're always 10:08 and in service to all of you. Thank you and have a good night. Oh, actually, I'm going to sneak this one in there. I've got 2 videos, so I hope I didn't lose too many. Here's our Special Olympics, where we went out to the Special Olympics of Northern California. And we had a lot of athletes out there. And we get the great opportunity to open the games, pass out ribbons. And it's just generally a good time. You want to talk about pure athletes. I mean, these kids were just actually pouring it out. I mean, throwing softballs 85, 100 feet. They were crushing it around the track. I mean, look at this. They were just going super fast. And it was really good. I mean, you talk about wanting to compete and just doing a great job. Just did an absolute fabulous job. If you'd like to contribute, any donation to Special Olympics goes towards athlete health, athlete education, and to the games. So we would ask that if you want to, go ahead and contribute to the Special Olympics of Northern California. It's something that, as the Danville Police Department, we've been involved in for, I would say years, but it's now going on decades. So please contribute. And then I do want to provide this one video, because this is that Mount Diablo video I was telling you about, and I still need to do our final thought. So let's take a look at this. So this is from
alive.
One of our friends up at Mount Diablo.
At or below
and you can
the
see as he's coming down the hill here.
Most collisions on Mount Diablo occur on or near blind curves.
The wrong way driver.
Motorists often pass unsafely on the roads.
He's got a good graphic here, and it shows that as a bike, you want to try to be in the inside part of the turn so that you can stay away from the wrong way driver. And if you're in the car, you want to stay on the other side of the double yellow line. That's the easiest way to go. And it's unfortunate, but if you look at the bottom part there, a lot of cars will try to pass bikes, joggers, whoever on the wrong side of the road in the middle of a curve. And I think Mount Diablo Cyclists has done a great job of working with the mountain, the CHP and whatnot, and getting signage up there, getting the roadway striped.
We recommend riding the green path
quite a bit safer up there
all blind curves,
frankly, for everyone.
On the
and
road
a lot of
Mount
kudos
Diablo.
goes to Al Kalin for
more
his efforts.
Information,
on that.
Visit MountDiabloCyclist.org.
So final thought. So this is something unusual. You don't usually see me reading this, but we did have a good friend of the police department drop this off, saying that she saw it on Nextdoor and thought it would be appropriate to cover this on the show. We've covered distraction thefts before. We've shown you videos where people go up and pretend to be friendly with someone, and then ultimately they're stealing their purse, their wallet, and what have you. So here's something cut from Nextdoor, and it says, "This afternoon I got into my car at the parking lot of Whole Foods at Ignacio, and a middle-aged man knocked on the window and indicated that there was a problem with their rear tire. When he got out of the car, he said it was blood. As he was looking at his partner, the partner actually started to look at the leg of our victim, our lady, and actually started to rub the leg of the lady. And as they were doing this, our unsuspecting victim didn't realize that what they were doing was actually stealing her wallet. And so a third person, presumably, was able to take this lady's wallet. The two people up front left, they were gone, and later on she started getting charges on her card. We've covered this before. Here's the advice. You should always be made to feel comfortable. If someone else is making you feel uncomfortable, if they're touching you, if they're trying to put jewelry on you, if they're asking for you to take something off, like your watch or your ring, don't. It's okay to say, hey, I don't like people touching me, stay away. It's okay to do that. Distraction thefts, we've seen them in the news. They are clearly on the rise. We get wanted posters for them fairly frequently. Usually they'll hit shopping centers, but we've seen them in neighborhoods. All right, that's what we reported on a few weeks ago, is they were in a neighborhood driving around, and they strolled right up to an unsuspecting couple and was able to put fake jewelry on them and take their real jewelry. So just be careful. And Kim is our partner that sent this in, and Kim's a longtime friend of the police department. So I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you pointing this out. All right, so now we are 10-10, but we're always 10-8 and in service to all of you. Have a good night.